What is going on, crypto miners, and welcome back to the channel. Well, the team over at Canaan sent us a miner with perfect timing. Bitcoin is it's so close to $90,000. And well, they sent us over their brand new, unreleased to the public yet, Avalon 1566. And this unit is actually upgraded to the 212 terahash. Originally advertised at 185, they went ahead and dropped an upgraded version, which I love. So let's get this Bitcoin miner unboxed. The brand new A1566. Check this out. So let's do a quick rundown. We have a status light, an Ethernet LAN port, reset button, and function button. Now, we have 4 fan cables with only 2 on the front. So each of these fans actually uses 2 connections, and they're actually labeled 1-1, 1-2, 2-1, and 2-2. So these we've seen before in the past with these little connectors here that Canaan ends up using. Pretty slick there. Now, something to point out, you can definitely tell these are a lot deeper in depth. We've been seeing a lot of these manufacturers change up their fan design. Bitmain went ahead and moved from 120 millimeter to 140 millimeter versus Canaan here has stuck with the 120 millimeter, but they've gone ahead and actually used a fan that is thicker in size, which in reality should give you much better airflow. We do have a toggle switch on off on the right hand side, our power supply fans, and our power connector. We're going to talk about this more in just a minute. Doing a quick little spin around here. We do have the Canaan logo on the top and no fans on the back. I saw this with my A1300 series coming from Canaan, what was that, 2 years ago? Very curious if this model is similar to that, where it had 4 different hash modes. We'll have to keep an eye out for that. We do have 1, 2, 3. It looks like hash boards in here. We'll take a closer look in the GUI to see what we get. And there it is, 1566 at 212. Absolutely love it. All right, so talking about power and power cable. This is the cable that was sent to us. And I have to give a shout out to Red Panda Mining. I watched his live stream while I was overseas at NiceHash X. And I did take a lot of note from what he had mentioned and struggles that he ran into. So this is not a traditional plug. Usually we deal with Bitmain's new plug, which is something called a P13, which actually has an end that looks like this. This is actually the opposite end. So we got Canaan and Bitmain playing this game here where Bitmain's cable uses a P13. Canaan's cable uses a P14. What do we got, an Apple and an Android battle going on here? So we have complete opposites. And in addition to that, we were sent over, I don't even know. Does anyone know what this cable end is? Look at this thing. Really wonky. So I did go ahead after watching Red Panda Mining stream, and I actually had this cable overnighted. It's going to have a C20 to go into my PDU, and it's got pretty much a plug to receive this weird one here. Now, I'm not going to run it long-term like this. It's much better than what Panda had to end up doing when his live stream just to get by. He spliced some things together. Kudos to him. That is not something that I probably would have done, but good for him, and he got it working. I do have one coming, though, directly. I talked with the Canaan team. I do have an actual P14 to C20 cable coming, so we're going to have a better solution long term. And I spoke with Altair Tech, which specializes in a lot of these Bitcoin miners. They will actually have the cable for sale as well, starting to carry some of these P14 to C20 cables. So now that we've gone down the rabbit hole of talking about power, it's wild the direction things are moving. Let's go ahead and get this plugged in, because I want to test for not only does it actually get 212 terahash, what are the watts at the wall, as well as how loud is this thing? Because I'm thinking with these thicker fans, it might spin a lot slower and be quieter, and we don't have fans on the back. So let's get our A1566 powered up. All right, let's hope our adapter cable holds up here. Coming from our Triplite PDU, we do have a meter box here. ready to go with our Drox meter. And let's go ahead and get this wonky, this wonky weird cable, the P14, plugged in. All right, we heard the click. Let's go ahead, hit the toggle button. Woo! All right, let's give it a few minutes. All right, so this did show up in my current firewall showing Avalon as the host name, which is great, made it real easy to find. 192.168.86.140 for my home subnet here. And we've gone ahead and loaded it up. And the dashboard is very similar to what we've seen from other Avalons out there, especially my previous model, the 13 series out there. Now, it's not hashing yet. If we take a look, let's take a look down the menu down the side, and then we'll get into configuring this. So configuration on the side was previously set up on looks like F2 pool, but there's no miner and no password in there. That's kind of nice. You know, other manufacturers put in their own information. I think it's to sneak out a little extra hash rate and earnings from us. If we look at the worker mode, now on my previous models of the Avalons, we actually had 4 different hash rate modes. This one only has 2, high performance and power mode. So we're going to test out both of those and see how this unit actually performs. Over on the network side, you can set it to static if you're interested. The log file is available, which is nice. Under system, we do have the password that we can change. We can upgrade the firmware, which is pretty rare with these units. And we can reboot the miner if we're interested. So I'm going to get this set up on Mining Dutch. Give me a few minutes. We're going to start out on high performance mode, and we'll check back in a few minutes. All right, we've been mining for 15 minutes on high performance mode. It is warm in here, so it's probably going to be a little bit louder than normal just because it's probably 80, 85, 90 in here right now versus actually running this in like my shed. But let's take a look at our dB meter. So about 74, 75. Now, bigger thing, we're on high performance mode. So look at these watts. Holy cow. 3,846. All right, let's jump on the computer and see how this is doing. All right, you can probably hear this thing humming in the background. Let's refresh the page here. We are at 215 terahash, which is awesome. And the watts in the actual software say 3,785. So let me go ahead. Let's get that updated here. So real time was 215. And the watts in the wall, what did that say here? 3793. 3793. So definitely quite a bit off on those numbers. And we're at 185 for our average after 15 minutes. But of course, that has ramp up on it. So taking a look at this, if we want to look at the efficiency, let's go ahead and do that divided by that. Oh, other way around. Here we go. We'll do that divided by that. All right, so we're at 17.88, which isn't terrible, but there's definitely room for improvement here. So now let's go ahead and give this, swap it on to power mode, and let's see how this thing does there. So swapping over to power mode, which is really interesting, we actually have 4 different settings. It looks like 00 up to 04. So it's actually 5 settings total. So I'm going to go ahead and test every one of these out, and I'll be back in about an hour. All right, it's been well over an hour, but we got our testing completed. So I went through and tested power mode 00 up through power mode 04. So power mode 00 actually was just exactly the same thing as high performance. So I don't actually think that's a mode. However, 01 through 04, you can definitely see by this sheet, we start out at about 215, goes to 203 for 01. And then as we increase that power mode number, the hash rate gets lower. The watts at the wall get lower, and our efficiency actually improves dramatically. We go from 203, which is at 01, down to 181 terahash. And our watts at the wall are at 3,024. So that's pretty dang good. 181 terahash for only 3,024 watts, which is pretty fantastic, actually. Puts us at about a 16.87 efficiency score. Now, The dB level did drop very, very minimal, a little bit as we went ahead and dropped down as well. So these numbers are pretty dang good when we look at other Bitcoin miners on the market right now. So is the Canaan Avalon A1566 worth it? Is it worth purchasing? Well, right now on their website, it's listed for $2,701. Now, it is a future price because this unit has not been publicly made available just yet. However, let's talk through this a little bit. When we look at what other prices we see out there for this unit, keep in mind, we're at 215 terahash, which is well above, what we see here at only 185 terahash. When we look at ASIC Marketplace, it's going for 2,900, but it is not available quite yet. Coin Mining Central, it's way up there at 3,400. At Crypto Miner Bros, right at $3,000. Now, at the time of recording this, let's do a quick refresh. Bitcoin is at 87,500. And we're seeing a lot of Bitcoin miners become profitable again. I even saw earlier today the S19K Pro was making almost $1 per day. Now, if we look over at ASIC miner value, they actually have the outdated metrics, just like all these other websites. 185 terahash at 3,420 watts. So one, the hash rate isn't even there anymore. And two, the watts does not match that at all. So keep that in mind. Now this is at 8 cents. You guys can see our profit per day is $6. But when we go over, let's actually put some actual numbers in here. So if we come over to what to mine and we put in, let's actually put in the high performance mode, which is 215 at 3846. So 215 at 3846. That's a lot of power at 8 cents, and hit calculate. It's making $4.79 a day. Now let's flip that. Let's do the 181 and 3,064 watts, which was power mode 4. The most efficient out there was at 16.8 efficiency score. Now we're up to $4.37. So it's pretty wild to think that we've cut down our watts significantly by 800 and we're still making $4.37 a day. So it's actually, this kind of shows how that efficiency number comes in, where even though we're dropping down by, 20, we had 20 on there and 30. So we're dropping down about 30 watts, or 30 terahash, give or take. And our watts are dropping down by 800. We're still making about the same, which is fantastic. Now, let's talk about this ballpark of 180 to 215 terahash. When we look at the Bitmain Antminer S21 Pro, 234 terahash, that's costing us upwards of $5,600. When we look at just the S21, which is a 200 terahash model, which this is a little bit more around that ballpark, it goes for $4,049. So the Canaan Avalon, what really has going for it is the fact that it's able to compete at that plus 200 terahash level, lower watts, which is awesome, because when we look at the S21 and it's putting out 3,500 watts. Well, as we talked about on our numbers here, this unit right around there, if we juggle it, is definitely under that mark. Now, in addition to that, we really need to think about the fact of how much we're spending, how much capital we're spending in order to get 200 terahash. And the Canaan Avalon A1566 is definitely going to be the competitor here and a better avenue to go. Now, this unit isn't available yet. So once it does come be available, will we see the price change? Most likely, especially because of the fact that Bitcoin has gone up dramatically over the last week. And I would imagine that prices are slowly starting to reflect that. I know we've seen a lot of script miner prices go up. I imagine Bitcoin miners will definitely see the same as well. So do I recommend the Avalon A1566? Absolutely. I think it's a great miner, and I love the fact of having so many different power modes that you can adjust based off of your situation. And it's not crazy loud and has decent watts. I love the power mode number 4 at 181 terahash. and only 3,064 watts. Guys, I'm going to put links to this unit down below on Canaan's website, as well as some other reseller websites. If you're interested, go over and check it out. It isn't available quite yet, so make sure you come over here and hit notify when available. That'll give you guys an email when these go on sale. Well, hopefully you enjoyed today's video. Have a good one.